Today's political bombshell, a massive controversy after an IAS officer is transferred days after he launches a probe into the Vadra-DLF deals. The Haryana government hits back, refuting his charges, saying Khemka himself asked to be relieved from the post. Khemka had claimed that 3.5 acres of land which was bought in February 2008 was sold from Vadra to DLF 8 times its price just 3 months later. On his last day in his outgoing post, Khemka cancels that land deal between Vadra and DLF because he says the land records had been wrongly transferred. But the Haryana government says the officer's order is a violation because he gave it after he was transferred.
Thought it fit and appropriate to clear this muck in the public realm because the confidence of the people must be restored in public offices. So if the allegations being levelled is wild, let it come out, and if the allegations are true, then certainly action must be called for.
तबादला जो है वो सरकार का कार्य है, तबादला को पनिशमेंट नहीं होती.
So the big question is, can the government continue to avoid an inquiry into Vadra's transactions, or is it now too late? Will they have to go ahead and do it? You're watching the 9 o'clock news. We'll have very shortly with us live Ashok Khemka, the IAS officer who dared to take on Robert Vadra and his transactions and was transferred almost shortly after that, along with a special panel. But first, let's take a close look now at the war of charges and counter charges that have erupted since the news of Ashok Khemka's inquiry as well as his transfer became public, and the Haryana government then came out with its own strong rebuttal. Khemka says that Vadra's land was mutated or transferred to DLF by unauthorized officials, but the Haryana government says that it is actually authorized. Now, Ashok Khemka says that the land was undervalued. It was bought for 7.5 crores and then sold 3 months later for 58 crores, causing potential losses to the Haryana government. The Haryana government denies that particular charge. Khemka then goes on to say that the Haryana government had renewed Vadra's license after he had sold this land to the DLF. To this, the Haryana government actually has no response. Khemka then also goes on to say that the transfer was for punishment for being an upright officer who exposed scams, and that he's been transferred several times, even though he doesn't specifically mention Vadra. The Haryana government says that there is no malice, but it comes after High Court directions. The Haryana government also says that Khemka had actually requested the court to relieve him as a special collector, but Khemka says that the government is mixing up two issues. He didn't ask to be removed as the DG of land consolidation, which is his main position, only as special collector, which is a secondary position. And on the 12th of October, Khemka ordered, or asked rather, for all the DCs of Haryana to inspect all of Robert Vadra's documents from 2005 till date. And the Haryana government says that the orders will be actually inquired by the additional chief secretary. Serious questions now arising because of Khemka's letter and the points that have emerged from that, which surround this particular land transaction of Robert Vadra, the transaction that began his entire fortunes. How come this land was transferred to Vadra just within a day from the person he bought it from? Why did the Haryana government renew the housing license to Vadra even though the land had belonged to the DLF? Vadra's documents show that he bought 3.5 acres for 15 crores, while Khemka actually says, or the documents he submitted says, that the land was for 7.5 crores. Right, let's now go straight across to our special panel to debate tonight's explosive story, which is that of an IAS officer who seems to have dared to take on his own state government and is the first official who has actually ordered an inquiry into Robert Vadra's land dealings, and he claims for that he has been transferred. We have with us that IAS officer joining us live from Chandigarh. That's Ashok Khemka, who was until recently the director in charge of land consolidation of Haryana. Now he's been transferred to the seeds department. And along with him, we have a special panel, a range of voices, including Prashant Bhushan from India Against Corruption, Mr. Madhu Yaski Gaud of the Congress, Prakash Javadekar of the BJP, former Cabinet Secretary T.S.R. Subramaniam, and Shalini Singh of the Hindu. Mr. Khemka, if I can ask you first, now, since the time when you made your explosive claim that you have in fact been transferred because of the fact that you both issued an inquiry into Robert Vadra's land dealings and you've actually cancelled one particular land transaction between him and DLF, we've already got a fairly strong reply from the Haryana government. They say that you issued this order on the 12th of this month. You also cancelled the transaction on the 15th of this month, but you were transferred on the 11th. So you would actually issued these orders after you were transferred.
Mr. Srinivasan Jain, let me tell you one thing, that in my representation dated 12th October to the Chief Secretary against my transfer, I have nowhere indicated DLF Robert Vadra deal, nowhere. So this imputation to me, that this is an imputation by the media. This is not an imputation by me in my letter dated 12th October 2012, and I emphatically stated and I emphatically deny that I had cited my transfer order to the Robert Vadra DLF land deal. Please correct this as far as this technical correction is there.
Okay.
Number two, let me state the facts. 11th October at 10 o'clock in the night, I received a transfer order. On 8th of October, there was a media report and widely highlighted in the Hindu about the undervaluation of land deals by some companies allegedly belonging to Mr. Robert Vadra. I am the Inspector General of Registration, and it is my duty that all land deals are properly valued in all the registering offices. So under the powers vested in me under section 69, that yes, I exercise general superintendence over all registering offices in Haryana, I, in the natural course of things, even after joining, somewhere in August, I told them to collate all registration data and all land records data at the central server, data server in Chandigarh, so that these records can be made truly online and it can be made web enabled.
No, but coming to this
after
particular,
this data was,
particular order, this inquiry, yes.
Let me answer. Please let me answer. See, there is no office of Inspector General Registration. The government has designated me as Inspector General Registration and I am acting suo moto. So, all the data from the impugned registration offices where there was an allegation of undervaluation of land deals, that is Gurgaon, Mewat, Palwal and Faridabad districts, I asked the computer chaps to collect the registration data so that on the computer I can check whether there is an undervaluation, because the computer software, you have to put a database query, the alleged company names, so that all the transactions are reported, the reported transaction value and the collector rates.
No, but when did you do
Since
this?
the
Sorry,
data
sir, just a
did
second.
not
You
come
said
to
that.
11,
Can I just clarify the dates here, because that's very important.
Please.
You said that on. You said that there were media reports on October the 8th in the Hindu, which pointed to and other newspapers which made these allegations. So when did you actually then order an inquiry into those allegations? Which date?
No, please, I am answering your question. Please have some patience. On the 11th, since the data was not coming, I spoke to supply the certain data. I don't know what happened. On 11th, at 10th night, I got a transfer order. So 12th, I ordered an inquiry as registration officer, Inspector General of Registration, on 12th of October, that please, as per this media report, which has appeared in the media, please get the details of the registration carried out by these companies in the past and their actual value and the actual consideration value, and if there is any undervaluation, I direct the registrar, please present it before the collector for correct assessment of stamp value, and if there is any undervaluation, please impose the appropriate penalty. This order was signed on 12th and a representation was made to the Chief Secretary. in which there was no allegation of kindly see, this is an imputation which I strongly deny, and your channel must take the correction and must correct itself.
We've taken your clarification on board, but what I want to ask you is, sir, I just want to ask you, you've now made the timeline clear. What you said is that you started to orally ask for this information.
Then I made a, please.
Just a second, sir. Just a second. You asked orally for this information. You had started asking for it on the 11th itself, and on 11th night you were transferred, and on the 12th.
No, on the 8th,
on the 8th,
I
you
started to
asking
take
for
the
this
information on the 8th, not on the 11th.
Okay, on the 8th you started asking for this information. On the 11th, you got this order, and you issued your...
No, on the 11th, since the data was... Please.
No, on the... and one second, on the 12th, then you asked for an inquiry, the copy of which is here with us, and where you said that all lands, all documents registered from the first day of January 25th until date by or on behalf of Sri Robert Vadra or his companies in the capacity of vendor or vendee shall be examined. Now, what I want to ask you is that did you have the jurisdiction to formally issue this even though you'd been transferred the night before? In your capacity as Inspector General Registration.
I functioned as Mr. Srinivasan. I am Inspector General of Registration till I relinquish charge.
Okay.
On the 12th, I make a representation to the Chief Secretary in which there are certain certain events which had disturbed me, which had nothing to do with Robert Vadra and DLF, which had something to do with Panchayat land and misappropriation of Panchayat land. I had highlighted those. There are names of 8 or 9 villages I have indicated there. And I have said that this seems to disturb me out of this, the inquiry reports which I have submitted already.
Okay.
And I have under the statute, the statutory rules, to a minimum tenure of 2 years, and I cannot be shunted out in 80 days. So I told the Chief Secretary in writing and also sought an appointment on 12th itself. And the Chief Secretary, thankful, has come out with a press release on this subject, where I seek that kindly, quash this transfer order because it is against the statutory rule.
So
the Chief Secretary and the Honorable Chief Minister are both bound by the rule of law.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.